Hey, what's up, Charged Up fans? So I wanted to make a video where I could be as authentic as possible and tell my story. While a lot of the videos that I will post will be about one of the three pillars, mindset, business, or fitness, I wanted this video to be about my life, so you can understand where I'm coming from, and and how I got to where I'm at today. And I'm really excited to share this with you as vulnerable and as authentic as possible. So I was born the first child in Louisville, Kentucky, to 24-year-old parents in med school. I was born to a Mormon family, and that will really shape my life. I'll explain how that has been its ups and downs, how that's blessed my life, and how it's been a challenge. But then, when I was 12, I moved to Utah, and I ended up having two more little brothers and three more little sisters. And so family's been a huge part of my life. I do have a big family. Kind of in high school, the move was tough, like being 12 years old and moving to a new state. It really shook things up. And when I moved to a new state, and I made pretty good friends, there still was, I felt like a little bit like I didn't quite belong anywhere. And I always wondered when I was younger why it was so challenging. Like I felt a little bit left out, even though I had a lot of friends, a lot of different people, from the stoners to the jocks to the smart kids. Had a lot of friends. And there was some teasing and some bullying, and I think I kind of, after those years growing up, it's almost like it's been a ceiling on my life. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, where your childhood and how you were treated makes you think a certain way about what you deserve or what you're capable of. But I think there was a little bit of a limit of what I thought I could do based upon the bullying and the teasing and maybe the rejection that I felt in my teenage years. But I still had some really good friends. We did all the crazy shit that teenagers do, surfing on top of cars, on the weekends, going out at night and throwing eggs at cars. And I don't condone this to anybody watching, but it was a lot of fun, and it was a good part of growing up, that you got to be a little crazy, or you just got to be loyal to who you are and what you feel. And so I think that was a great thing to experience. And then after high school, I did what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to be this Mormon kid, have a really strong faith, follow the gospel. And if I did that, it was ingrained in me that I would be successful and happy. And so, I went to college. I went to a good college. It was a private church college. And then halfway through that, I went on a 2-year service mission for the church I was a part of at the time. If you've heard of the Mormons, that's what I was. And so I went and did that, and I went to Scotland. I had a really good, great mission. I was really obedient. I wanted to do it all out. I wanted to be great at it. Something I still carry with me, and I embodied that on my mission. I baptized 18 people. I know their lives were significantly improved by having some purpose and meaning and making changes to their life. And overall, it was a great experience. I didn't get to do some of the fun things that 19-year-olds would have been doing. So I was at home and in bed by 10:30. I was up at 6:30 every day. The only time off we got as missionaries, and when I say time off, I mean like to go to the store and to play football, soccer, with the other missionaries, was between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Mondays. And I'll probably share another video in the future about some of the other unique things about being a missionary. But yeah, it was just 100% monk mode. Understand the scriptures and the gospel, and try to baptize as many people as possible. So, then I got home from my mission, and I in this video, I think I want to share chunks of my life in like the theme of them. And so when I got home, when I was about 21 to 25, those were my college years. And my mom and dad are both doctors. They're wonderful people. They're successful. And so, like, I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to make a lot of money. I went the route of how can I go to med school? And college kind of sucks. It's not really tailored. It doesn't really tailor or prepare you for life. There's so many better routes. Sure, it taught me some things about discipline, and I got to meet some interesting, fun people. And so I'm not saying don't do it, but for me, I regret it. Partly because it was a school where I didn't really feel like I got the full experience, and I didn't really get much out of my classes. Partly me to blame. And so in college, I'm having a good time. Good friends, date some cool girls. One of them I almost married, and I don't want to go into that on this video, but maybe on another one. Towards the end of college, I was getting ready to go to med school, and I took the MCAT. I checked off all the boxes to get accepted, and towards the end, what do you call it? I just lost I didn't really want to do it. I didn't have a lot of passion for it, and I think it was like this inner part of me made certain choices to make it not possible. So what ended up happening is I got accepted, and then a few months later, I got my acceptance rescinded. I think it's really rare that happens, and it was a challenging time. All while this is happening, I'm ending the relationship with a really nice girl that I dated for a couple of years. And looking back, it just didn't feel right. And I had a lot of things naturally to figure out. I did some stupid shit too. I was charged with shoplifting from a thrift store. I was experimenting with just like weed and alcohol. Didn't fully commit to any of that or do a bunch of that, but when you're a 24-year-old, it was exciting to try that out. And so all of that kind of happening at the same time, my whole life shifts and goes a different direction, and I'm really happy it did. But it hasn't been easy. It's been a challenge. So then, that second half of my 20s, the best choice I made was that I thought would help me out was move to a big city nearby. So I moved to Salt Lake City, and it got a job as a front desk. What do you call it? A concierge at a ski resort real estate management company. It seemed aligned with my interest with the mountains of Utah, the real estate industry, and skiing. And I loved living in Salt Lake. I made some of the best friends because I was just able to let loose and live. And when I say let loose, like I really let loose. Like I partied pretty hard. I think there's going to be people who know what I'm talking about when it's like when the weekend hits, that's when I was taking my $300 of spending money and spending it all on illicit substances to have a good time. So kind of a dumb choices to make, but it was really fun, and I met some really good friends, and I love that. But also I wasn't getting anywhere in life, and I was kind of frustrated by that. I was going from that job that wasn't going anywhere to another job in a cubicle. I'm sure someone watching this can relate. being in a cubicle, making barely enough to survive, and watching maybe credit cards get taken to the max and not really going anywhere, and then also at the same time remembering that a couple years earlier I was going to be in med school, and that if I would have gone that route, I would have been out in a few years making a good living, and here I am making whatever it was, like $30,000 a year, working in cubicles, and then I threw away the office route that wasn't taking me anywhere, and I went at that point I was working in restaurants, to keep it short. Restaurants, some jobs in the ski industry, like a repair shop tech, and I didn't feel good about myself. I had some really toxic relationships. So the girls I was dating, were just like really just, I don't know how I'm settling, just doing what was easiest, and I see that in a lot of guys now. When they don't have a lot of purpose and they're not like crushing it and it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, that the maybe drugs and the good times and the girls are beneath what we should be allowing to happen in our lives. And nothing against those people that I dated. It was just that it wasn't where I wanted to be long term, and that's okay. If you have somewhere higher you want to be, you got to stay away from those environments and make hard choices. I just never gave up. That's all I'd say. Is I was always writing in my journal. I was always like trying to get better, and I then I would say, to close this period out, where I met a really powerful mentor and got into a powerful. No, the relationship I got into was just life changing. So with a girl and a really great mentor. So that brings me to, I was about 30 years old, and this is in my journey where I left Salt Lake City, and yeah, I don't know what to chalk it up to besides being that the universe, life, when you look back, it has a plan. If you don't give up, you're going to meet those people. Sorry, I'm putting this on Do Not Disturb so I can just give my undivided attention here. If you're always improving, I would put it to, I developed a little bit more at the time. I just self-love, persistence and self-love, which kind of are the a yin and yang, or they're two contrasting beliefs that I'll share in future videos on mindset. That I had this, I always want to get better, and that would, I guess, be what some people would say, like a masculine energy, or the yin, and then the contrast to that was I started to love myself a lot more, and I was happy with my life, with my friends, and everything that was going on around me. And those that's a really powerful combination, and then I end up learning about the field of home improvement sales. And so my mentor, he invited me to help out with some of his projects in Salt Lake City. I liked what was going on, and then they had a weather event, a hailstorm that damaged a lot of roofs in Northern California, and so he invited me to come out and join their company, and I decided to go out there. This is all about the same time that I started dating a girl that I met at a music festival. If you've been there, you know how that is. And so I was pretty head over heels for her, and I wanted to change my life because it woke me up to this, like, this girl was the type of girl that I need to be a better man to be worthy of. And so I made a lot of changes for her. That's a lot of pressure. So if anyone's doing changes for someone else they're dating, you kind of got it backwards. But still, got me out of this funk. It got me to do something crazy, got me to move away. And so, while she was living in Southern California, I was moving to Northern California, where a hailstorm hit and we were setting up a roofing company office there. And so I went out there, and it changed my belief of what I could do. I think during that 18 months, it was 20 months exactly, I sold 192 roofs. And the guys that I lived with were incredible guys. We're really focused. We got a little crazy. We liked to do mushrooms in the mountains. We liked to work out in our backyard, pop bottles of champagne, do jujitsu in the backyard, go down to the Sacramento River and do Wim Hof and get into that icy cold water. So it was all in all a good time, and I'd highly recommend, if you want to change your life, get around some good people where you're focused on improving, your fitness and your financial state and your headspace. 3 pillars of this channel, by the way. And you'll see your life change. Also at the same time, the relationship I was in with that girl, it kind of fell apart, and it would be a whole nother video to go into how that's affected my life. But let's just suffice it to say that it brought out the worst in me in that relationship. It showed the things that I needed to grow up to be in that kind of serious relationship, and have nothing against her, and look back fondly of those times. But I put a lot of pressure on it, and had a lot that I needed to learn. And so it took a while to get over it. I think a lot of relationships, the girl will move on fast, especially if the guy's hung up on the girl and and wasn't focused on his purpose or his why first. She moved on fast. It took me a while to move on to dating again, but luckily I threw myself head first into work and had a good storm season, is what we call it, in the storm restoration roofing business. And so then that came to an end, and I had made a good amount of money, and decided just to kind of have a good time and take a step back from any work until the next hailstorm. And so I went and traveled in Africa, a month over there. I went to Costa Rica, a month there. And then at that point, I was back in Salt Lake City, Utah, kind of waiting at that time, just focusing on my fitness, reading and learning about a lot. Became really passionate about Bitcoin and what decentralization meant to the world, and possibly some of the corrupt powers that be, what they might be doing. And no one knows for sure, but I think if you look at what is happening with high conscious or a critical mind, it seems like there's a lot of corruption out there. And during this time in my life where I'm taking a break from selling roofs, learning about that. And so that really set me up for my life and where I'm at today and what I'm passionate about. And it came to a point where I think I hadn't worked in 6 or 7 months at least. And my mentor, he was working in Oregon, so I went out there, moved out there from Salt Lake, and spent a few months there selling roofs, doing that in Oregon. And then winter was coming, and I didn't fully have time to get the business going, because when you're a project manager for a roofing company, you're 100% commission. You're what's called a 1099 independent contractor, which has a lot of perks, but then it can be a little stressful if you don't budget your money, if you don't constantly have income coming in. because it's 100% salary, eat what you kill, or 100% commission, eat what you kill, which teaches you a lot of good things. It's kind of like being an entrepreneur with training wheels. And but then at that time, I was taking a trip to El Salvador. I know, man, this is quite a story. I don't usually share this all in a row, and there's way more that I could include. But here I am in Oregon. It's coming up on winter, and I go to El Salvador to a Bitcoin conference because I've become really passionate about that and what a decentralized hard money could do for the world. And so I went to that conference, and then on my way there, I went to Austin, Texas, because I knew some guys building a Bitcoin company, and knew of quite a few people who had moved to Austin or had really good things to say about it. Joe Rogan, other podcasters that I'd known and hung out with in a community of I'll go into that another day. And I loved Austin. I was 4 days in a hostel before El Salvador, and while I was in El Salvador, I thought, you know what? When I get back, I'm going to pack up my truck in Oregon, and I'm going to drive to Austin, and that's where I'm going to do the thing. That's where I'm going to exercise this entrepreneur business muscle that I really wanted to be, because it became clear that that was my path to the life that I felt like I deserved. Coming from a really great family and affluent, but then all the rejection that I faced from jobs in my 20s, the challenges of debt in my 20s, and then finding that as in a project manager in roofing sales, that this is the way out, making a good living for myself. I decided to come to Austin, and it was either a Bitcoin company. Actually, when I moved here and I drove my truck here, that was what I was going to do. And so I met with the owner of this Bitcoin company, and I was going to sell this service to businesses. And if it worked out, I would get a commission of all the purchases that happened on this Bitcoin app. And for a number of reasons, maybe it was the timing, maybe just doing it alone. Also, the stage I was at in my own progress, evolution, whatever you want to call it, it didn't pan out. And so my fallback plan was doing solar. And in the solar industry, it's really easy to get involved. You can get onboarded with a number of solar companies and be a 1099 independent contractor making 100% commission. And so I started down that path. And I went from having a great time, not working, partying, going out a bunch, living in Airbnbs, to I gotta buckle down. And so in February of 2022, Austin, Texas, I signed a lease for 6 months. And that was it was a tough time, because at this point, the financial stress started to hit from not working. And then I had to cut back on the things I was doing for fun. And this is kind of a funny story. I'll share it real quick. I'm dating this girl that I met at a gentleman's club, and it had been 2 months that we'd been hanging out. It wasn't going to be serious or anything, but one night she comes back to my place, and at this point I'm sleeping on an air mattress on the ground, because I don't think I had the disposable or income saved up to pay the rent at my own apartment near downtown Austin, and get a mattress. And so I just remember that this night was kind of awkward. Didn't have a lot of furniture in my apartment, and that was one of the last times that I hung out with the girl from the strip club. And so then what's going on at this time? I'm building my own solar company, and it's a lot of stress. I'm in a city all alone, which I heard was a great thing to do. Somewhere on Twitter said, go to a city where you don't know anybody and you'll be able to reinvent yourself. And I think that like really stuck with me. And so that's kind of why I was where I was at the time. And I'm like printing out all this material from Office Max, and I remember I have all this solar stuff, and I bought some leads. I half-assed called through them. I'm going out knocking doors, and it's just way tougher than it was when I was knocking doors and roofing. I had way more structure with the roofing company I was with in Northern California, and let's just say it was a burning pile of shit. And I remember calling my mom on my birthday in March, and like I don't think I had enough money to go out. And at the time I'm turning 34, and it just kind of felt like just so like a lot of weight. Really disappointing to myself that here I am in this apartment with an air mattress and a couch I got for $100, and I don't know many people in Austin, and so I bought a bottle of wine and stayed in my apartment on my birthday. I hope none of you guys ever have to go through that. It sucks, but it also, not going to go too deep, but it forms who you are if you are going through something like that. And it's something that would be very powerful. And all my choices have brought me to that position I was in. There's nobody ever to blame for what you're doing, because there's no power if you don't take full responsibility. And I've really believe that, because it's got me to where I'm at now. And you can't go back. No one can take it away when you go through shit like that. And then you take responsibility for it and you make your life better. Nobody can take that away. If you're given something, given money or a lucky break, that can be taken away. Anyway, things start to get a little bit better. I hire a mindfulness coach. Like I said, when I was in my 20s, I was always journaling. I was always wanting to get better. People entered my life, like my mentor, like the relationships that taught me a lot. And this time I actually hired a mindfulness coach, and she helped guide me. So you want to reach out to people for help when you are in those tough times. There's no reason not to. And that kind of humility goes a long way, and is something that we'll need all through our lives to get to the infinite amount of levels that there are in this game. And then I got matched up with another solar company, and had a little more structure, which was really nice. Still a challenge in that industry. I was still a 1099 independent contractor, but had someone who showed me the ropes. I was able to learn a little bit more about solar, and we were building these kind of sales boot camps for people like myself who wanted to change their lives and do that through changing their financial situation. Solar was advertised as a great way to do that, and it can be. And then we built these sales training places, we called them boot camps. And I went out to one in Arizona, which was really really important for me to do that. It was a tough time. Never really got ahead of the 8 ball financially. And while I'm out in Arizona, my brand new truck that I bought with my roofing sales money was late on some payments and was this close to getting repossessed while I was in Arizona. And while I was in Arizona, I was there for a month learning how to run sales boot camps, closed a few deals, and stayed alive so I could stay in Austin, Texas. And I came back here, and I got a house for building these sales boot camps, and I gave it my all with that. And there's times in your life where you try. If you don't succeed, you try again, and then you try something else. And you don't want to fit a square peg into a round hole, and you got to go with what the universe gives you. And I had still been selling roofs occasionally in Austin, Texas, because I came across them and I knew how to do that. And I had two different roofing companies who partnered with me for me to do that. And then I saw a huge opportunity about 8 months ago. 8 months ago, yeah, about that, of this year, 2023, with a really great guy just down the road where I live in Austin, Texas, who had I'd call it a dormant roofing company. And I thought that if I start selling roofs with him, I'm going to make him money. He's then going, and that's how I developed this relationship, by the way. Like, when you're looking for a mentor, you need to have value. And so I provided him with value with my previous experience. So that's how life, if you look back, it keeps stacking these victories and experience and turning into bigger ones. So yeah, he brought me on as, I'd say, a sales manager for his roofing company. And it's really exciting now. There's three of us, including me, project managers at this roofing company. We have really big ideas for what we're gonna do with it, and I just, yeah, that's my story and how we get to where I'm at. And I don't know if I just hope that someone watching this like has a little more, like, it's gonna be okay. The like, life is, there's a lot of unknowns, and if it was all just given, that wouldn't actually be life. That would go against the, like, rules of the universe, that we are given nothing and we have to earn it. And if we're not the people that deserve the things we want, then it's not going to be given to us. And if it was, I mean, think about how you'd feel if, you were that person where you hadn't done, like, the evolution and the progress and the changes, and you were just given everything you've wanted. You wouldn't keep it, that's for sure. I mean, I didn't. And I think I guess you'd be robbed of the real gift, and that would be who we become. And if you look back on a lot of religions, a lot of spiritual beliefs, who we become is an integral part of, that's why we're here with a lot of different religions. And hopefully we keep a positive attitude, and we keep getting better, and we go through knocks, and then we learn something new, and we get even better. And I think that's truly, like, what we get happiness from, experiencing that progress. Some people might believe differently, and it's not black and white, and maybe our human brains can't comprehend everything, and maybe we're not supposed to yet. Maybe AI, maybe that'll help us take that next step. But I thank you for anyone who's watched this far. You might be the first person to ever watch this far. This is video number 3 of my YouTube channel that I've been thinking about creating for a long time. And I don't know why I waited so long. I think Alex Hormozy, he said, your life, I'm going to be paraphrasing, I could be way off, Alex, that your life starts to get a lot better when you shrink the timeline for when you think you should do something to doing it. So that's my goal. When I feel inspired to do something, just do it. So, to close this video, life is fun. It's an adventure. And I hope that you can have, these stories, and you will have awesome stories, and the stories will never end if you just never give up. Stay persistent in it. Find what you're living for. There is something out there, and it gets easier every day. The hardest part is when you're starting, and then the higher up you get on the levels, the easier it's gonna get. That's the awesome thing. But But you're only going to get there if you earned it. You're only going to get there if you changed how you view yourself and how you view your place in the world. So I hope you all have a good day or night or great life if this is the last video you ever watch. And I will stick with my my plan to make a video every day for the rest of this year, 2023. And as they say, if you like this video, then really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. That really helped this channel out since it has 0 followers right now. And thanks for watching, guys.